Good morning.
Good morning.
I'm happy to be here with you today and to share a message. And the title of my talk today is Surrender to Your Greatest Good. Take that in a minute. Surrender to your greatest good. I bet that has a few emotions attached to it when you hear that, when you experience it. And so we're going to talk about that today and what that means for us. And how do we surrender to our greatest good? I want to begin by sharing with you the wisdom of Dr. Seuss. And this story is called The Zack. One day, making tracks in the prairie of Prax, came a north-going Zack and a south-going Zack. And it happened that both of them came to a place where they bumped, and they stood foot to foot, face to face. "Look here now," the north-going Zack said. "I say, you are blocking my path. You were right in my way. I'm a north-going Zack, and I always go north. Get out of my way now, and let me go forth." "Who's in whose way?" snapped the south-going Zack. "I'm a south-going Zack, and I always go south. So you're in my way, and I ask you to move and let me go south in my south-going groove." Then the north-going Zack puffed up his chest with pride. He said, "I never take a step to one side, and I'll prove that to you, that I won't change my ways if I have to stand here for 59 days. "And I'll prove to you," yelled the south-going Zack, "that I can stand here in the prairie of Prax for 59 years. For I live by a rule that I learned as a boy back in south-going school. Never budge. That's my rule. Never budge in the least. Not an inch to the west, not an inch to the east. I'll stay here, not budging. I can, and I will, if it makes you and me and the whole world stand still." Well, of course the world didn't stand still. The world grew. And in a couple of years, a new highway came through. And they built it right over those two stubborn Zack and left them standing there, unbudged in their tracks. Surrender to your greatest good. Do you see either of these Zacks surrendering? "I'll stand here 59 days, I'll stand here 59 years. They're living from the beliefs that they learned as a boy in north-going school and south-going school. So my question for you, where do your beliefs come from? Do you believe things that you believed as a child? And if so, that may be just fine. How is it working for you? And that's what really comes down to, is where do our beliefs come from? Have they changed over time? And are they working for us now? We've heard this morning about creating our life, co-creating with Spirit for our life. Do we like the life we live? So when I say surrender to your greatest good, do you think, oh no, I have all I can handle right now? Or do you think, yes, yes, more and more? Think about your beliefs, where they come from. Many of us got them from our parents, from teachers, or even our religious training as children. Some of the messages I heard when I was growing up: life is hard. You have to work hard to get anything in life. It's not worth it if you don't have to work and sacrifice. Rich people are not to be trusted. People with money are not spiritual. You can't do that. You're only a boy. Did you get any of those limiting messages when you were growing up? Maybe what you heard was, everybody loves and supports you. You can do anything you want. Money is easy to come by. Look at you. Everything you touch turns to gold. You're prosperous. We're prosperous. We always have more than enough. What were the messages? If you got those positive messages, how different would your life be today? Would you have more confidence in yourself and know that you could accomplish whatever you put your mind to? Because that's the truth of who you really are. You really are a creative spiritual being. And our minds are magnificent. And we're supported by a universe that wants to give us the greatest good. Surrendering to our greatest good. Our beliefs sometimes need to change because we grow. We're not the same people we were as children, are we? And so as adults, have we changed our beliefs? Have we allowed them to grow with us? Surrendering, what a word. There's a lot of emotion attached to that because some people think when they surrender, they're giving up their dreams, their hopes. When I looked in the dictionary, what I found surrendering to mean is to yield to the possession or power of another. And I don't know about you, but if I'm yielding to the power of my greater good, if I'm yielding to the power of the universe, to God, Spirit, divine intelligence, that's more than what I can do as a limited human being. Another definition said to give up some influence, course, or emotion. Give up to some influence, course, or emotion. So if I can give up my dreams, my hopes to Spirit, to divine intelligence, to the God that is all around us, I know that the universe always has my back. I grew up with the belief that God was in heaven looking at me, did not want me to have any fun. We had a rule or a saying in our family: if you laugh before dinner, you'll cry before bedtime.
Oh.
Think about that. If you laugh before dinner, you'll cry before bedtime. What kind of a message are you giving to kids? Don't enjoy life. If you get too giddy, you're going to be crying about it. I didn't think the universe supported me. I thought God was trying to always keep me under its thumb. It was a he then. But my belief has changed, and what I've found is the universe always has my back. Everything that I have been through in life has given me more life. God has always supported me. Spirit is always there, bringing about more and more. And it's what I'm willing to accept for myself. What message am I giving myself? Am I saying, oh, I don't deserve that? Oh, I better be weary of that person? Or am I saying, look, God is everywhere. How wonderful is this? There's always enough for me and plenty to share with others. Surrender to me means opening to a greater possibility. And that's the definition I like. Surrendering, knowing that there is a greater possibility than what I have thought of in the past. It's not a weakness. Many people think surrender means you're being weak. Surrender is not a weakness. It really is a place of strength. When our surrender is to align ourselves with Spirit, with God. And when we know that we are one with Spirit, with God, that is a place of strength. Because nothing can stop us. When we are certain that our power, our source, is the one power and presence in the universe. And when we are clear about that, we are ready to take on the world and achieve anything we want. That was the power that Jesus knew. When Jesus said, "The Father and I are one," it wasn't some heady thing. Jesus knew in his being that he came from source, from Spirit, and that that's where he would return, and that they were one in the same. There is one power, one presence. We say that in our spiritual mind treatments. We recognize, we align ourselves with being one with all that is. And that's our power. So to me, when I surrender, I'm surrendering and aligning myself with this power for good. And that's my place of strength. That's where I know that I am taken care of, beyond what my human consciousness can even think, because there's always greater good for me. In the Science of Mind textbook, page 286, there's a wonderful story here that Ernest Holmes shares, that there's 4 men, A, B, C, and D. I love it, he can be generic. And A receives $15 a week. B receives $50 a week. C receives $75 a week. And D receives $100 a week. Now it said, suppose all 4 of these men are without a position, meaning they don't have work. So they all go to see a practitioner. And they see the same practitioner, and the same practitioner prays the same prayer for each one of them. He says the practitioner is taking the thought that there is nothing but activity. The universe is always creating. There's always stuff going on. I love it when we ask somebody, how are you doing? Well, there's nothing going on. It's all the same. It's like, honey, look around. Because Spirit is always creating. There's always something happening if we're aware of it. The practitioner heals the belief in inactivity. Is divinely active, occupied, and compensated. Without question, he has set the law in motion, which will produce something for each of these 4. So we suppose that the treatment is good and effective for each one, and they accept it. And so consequently, A gets a new job and makes $15 a week. B gets a new job making $50. C gets a job making $75. And D gets a job making $100. Now, Ernest's point with this story is, one might say the practitioner spoke the same word for each. Why did they not all receive $100 a week? Because the law says that we can have only what we can take. The practitioner's word is used in like a manner which to receive all that we can fill ourselves with. And I love it because Ernest had a real sense of humor. And he says here, will a pint dipper ever hold more than a pint? So what is your belief? If your belief is, oh, anybody with my education can only make this much. Oh, I'm a woman, so I'm not going to make as much as a man. Oh, I'm African American. Oh, I'm Puerto Rican. Oh, I'm whatever. And we put those limits on ourselves. That's exactly what shows up in our lives. So surrendering to our greatest good means aligning ourselves with the universe that is powerful. The word that's spoken by the practitioner works the same for each one of these people. And the limitation is only in their belief. What do you believe for yourself? Will a pint dipper only ever hold more than a pint? How do we limit our lives? So how do we change that belief? I thought about that. And I went to this nice little book called Questions and Answers on the Science of Mind. Ernest Holmes and Alberta Smith wrote this. And it has all kinds of little topics here, and then they give you the answer. And so limiting beliefs are really false beliefs because we're not limited, right? So in here, there's a section that says dissolving false beliefs. I thought, perfect. Please explain your method to dissolve a false belief. And Ernest says, repetition is the key. A false belief is dissolved and replaced by the subjective by repetition in its place of truth. This involves a right about face, a mental action toward well-being, away from habitual negativity. Uh-oh. How many times do I get negative? How many times do I limit myself? So, opening myself to something more is really how I'm going to change that belief. But I have to be aware of it first. When we're aware of our beliefs, then we can see, do they work for us? Do they solve, really strive to bring us into more life, or do they limit us? So repetition is the key. If we look for good, that's what we're going to find. But we have to be aware of it first. So listen to your self-talk. That's why when I started and introduced the topic, surrendering to your greatest good, I said, take that in. Think about that. Because I want you to understand for yourself. Do you think you deserve good? Do you think you deserve more good than what you have today? Great, because let me tell you, you do. You do. I love this little prayer that I heard in Science of Mind, and it's good and more good is mine. An ever-abundant supply of good is mine. It crowds itself against me. It presses me forward. And so there's always good around us. We just have to open ourselves to it. If we listen to our self-talk, that's the awareness that we need so we can change our beliefs. And where did that belief come from? Is that something I want to continue to believe? We say change your thinking, change your life. And so as we change our thinking, the habitual negative patterns, and we change that to something positive, there's the image of taking a glass of muddy water and pouring some clean water into it. And as we continue to pour clean water in it, the water starts to clear up. That's how we change our beliefs. That's how we change our minds, is we start training ourselves to think something different. And when we look for the positive, that's what's going to be there. In life, we have events that happen all the time. Every day, something's happening to us, right? Maybe I should say something's happening through us, because that's more of a place of power. See, I have to listen to my self-talk. If I think it's happening to me, that's a place of weakness, isn't it? So we have the event, it's happening through us, and we always have a choice. I didn't always know I had a choice. We always have a choice. And the choice is, how are we going to respond to whatever it is that's happening? So to me, the response is responsibility. The more you have, the more you're responsible for. And this cycle here has helped me to stop and say, oh, whenever I feel an experience of life, to breathe. I think that's why my parents used to tell me, count to 10 before you say anything. It's like, think about how you're going to respond. And is that really the way you want to show up in the world?
Absolutely.
And I will say, I have had those habitual negative feelings, and something happens. Somebody cuts me off in traffic, and there's some choice words there that come flying. And now I'm learning to retrain my thought so that when somebody cuts me off in traffic, it's like, oh, please, go on. Maybe they're going to the hospital. Maybe they just got word that their parent is dying and they need to get there. Maybe their wife's having a baby. It's not all about me. How do I create a world that works for everyone? I do it by accepting everybody right where they are and not judging that, not trying to make them wrong. And so, hey, you need to go in front of me? Go ahead. Because they're going to be gone, and I can still be back there stewing about it. It's raising my blood pressure, it's hurting my life, but it didn't hurt them at all. There's the story of the monk, two monks that were walking along the shore and along this river, and this woman was there, and she said, can you help me get across? It's too deep and I can't make it on my own. And so the one monk went over and he picked up the woman and he took her to the other side of the river. And he set her down. And she said, thank you. And he came back and the two monks walked on. And a mile or so later, the second monk said, I can't believe you did that. We're not supposed to touch a woman. Why did you touch her? Why did you help her? And he said, brother, I put her down a mile back. You're still carrying her with you.
Oh.
Awareness. Right. Awareness. We can make a different choice, and we can respond responsibly. How do we want to show up in the world? Do we want to show up accepting our greatest good? I hope so. So in conclusion, are you willing to surrender to your greatest good? Do you listen to your self-talk so that you can change beliefs that really don't serve you or don't allow you to show up how you want to show up in the world? We're all expressions of the divine, of God. And we can choose how much love we're going to show the world, how much peace we're going to express to the world. It's our choice. Isn't that nice? We have a choice. And if you don't like what you chose today, you can choose differently next time. We're not bound by the past. Thank you, Rick, for the meditation this morning. The past is over. And we only have the present moment right now. The future, we'll worry about that later if we need to worry. But if we're expecting our greatest good, we don't have to worry, do we?
That's right. Shame.
So being present in the very moment now is what's most important for us. Looking for good and more good in our lives, and knowing that as we change our thinking, we really do change our lives. And that allows us to surrender to our greatest good. We're called forward to evolve and manifest more and more good each day. Would you join me as we pray? There is one power, one presence, one divine intelligence, and I know it is all good. It is the very breath I breathe, the power that pulses through my veins, and the life that I live each day. It is all God. It is all good. I am one with this power and intelligence. It's the mind that I use and every thought that I think. I recognize that my own belief is only limited by the good that I place on myself and my life. And so I surrender my beliefs to the unlimited source of all creation. I surrender to the power and presence that I call God, Spirit, and that surrender is aligning with what I know for sure, that I am one with that source, that divine creative force that breathes me each day, each moment. I know with certainty that good and more good flows into my experience. It crowds around me and envelops me with the greatest good that I can ever imagine. And so I open my life and my mind to receive from this unlimited source of good. I speak my word here for each one of us today. Our greatest good is here for us now. And I know we embrace it, we welcome it, and we express gratitude for it. Thank you. Thank you, Spirit. Thank you for the abundance in each one of our lives. Thank you for the awareness that we have the power to change our beliefs, to be open to our greatest good, even more than what we ever thought was possible. Thank you, thank you, thank you. It's with an overflowing heart of gratitude that I release my word into the universe of law and love, knowing that it is accomplished. And so it is.
So it is. Thank you, Rick.